Greetings, everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of Athenites Live. Thank you so much for tuning in and joining us this evening. Tonight, we've got a real treat, as we always do. We spared no expense, and we have for you this evening two fantastic gentlemen and knights who are here to answer your questions about knighthood and their path. So, without further ado, I would like to bring on His Royal Highness Timothy.
Hello.
And His Grace Duke Boru.
Good evening.
Good evening, gentlemen. How are you?
Great. Thank you for having us.
Great.
Awesome.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you so much for being on the show with us tonight. Before we get started, I want to give you guys a little bit of a chance to introduce yourselves and tell everybody exactly who you are and where you're from. Your Majesty, I will give you order of precedence. How about that?
Oh, thank you. My name is Timothy. I'm from Meridies. I live in Georgia. I originally started fighting in Aidenville out west, and I found myself in Georgia in the early 2000s. And I fell in love with Southern culture, and I fell in love with Kingdom of Meridies, and been here ever since.
Your Grace, how about you?
I started in Meridies in North Alabama sometime in 1982 and have been in Meridies my whole time. I now live in a suburb east of Atlanta, about an hour and a half from His Majesty.
Oh, nice. Excellent. Well, gentlemen, once again, thank you for being on the show. We're glad to have you here. How about we get straight into it? Are you ready for this?
Absolutely.
Better be.
All right. Yeah, it's too late now, huh?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we will throw our first question at you right now, and that's how did you get started in the SCA? You told us, where you started, but how exactly? What got you to your first event?
Duke Boru, I got to introduce myself first, so why don't you answer this first question?
Yes, Your Majesty. I and two of my best friends met some folks playing D&D back in early high school, and those folks were in the SCA and introduced us to it. So we started off at fighter practice and then going to events and just never quit. We all took breaks here and there, but we're all still around. Those two friends are Duke Bryce and Master Sir Connell.
Nice, excellent. So two folks that I should have on the show is what you're telling me.
I would highly recommend both of them. I could give you a long list of people. It would be great to join you, but
I'll let them know that you threw them under the bus.
Okay. They would quickly do the same to me. So yeah, I got knighted in 92 and my first reign was in 93. And I've had 5 more since. Most recently, just before His Majesty took over.
Mm-hmm. Oh, nice. Yeah, we'll have a little bit of questions. A little bit later.
Ew.
Most excellent. Your Highness? I'm sorry.
I got started in 1999 in the Kingdom of Aidenville. I discovered the Aidenville fighter practice through friends. And if you have never been to the Wednesday night in Canto Park practice in Phoenix, Arizona, I haven't been in many years, but oh my gosh, 20 years ago, it was incredible for coming just out of high school, trying to find my way, not having any idea what I was going to do with my life. Discovering that was one of the most incredible things, where they got together every Wednesday night and would have these fighter practices that rival many events that I've been to. And every week you get your fill of fighting. And there were people who helped me. I was totally poor, a budding college student, couldn't afford a thing. I was like, there's no way I'll be able to afford to do this. And it was the generosity of people who were like, hey, let us help you get armored up, let us help. And And all we ask is that one day when you have the means, you pay it forward. And that really, not only did the fighting, it was thrilling and fulfilling, but that generosity and that just kind nature was something that really set the hook and made me want to be around these people and want to do this for the rest of my life. And here I am today.
Excellent. Well, you just blew that answer out of the water, and that actually kind of leads into my next question. You answered it a little bit. Is what keeps you coming back to the SCA? Especially, so I'm going to change this one up just a little bit for you guys. What makes you continue to want to reign? I've spoken with lots of dukes, lots of counts, lots of viscounts, and they all say the same thing. You never realize how much of a job it is until you get it. And when you get it, it is difficult. So what makes you keep choosing to take that responsibility on yourselves? And what keeps you coming back just in general to the SCA?
So a little funny story there. After our first reign, when my wife and I had our first reign, right when we stepped down, if you would have asked us, hey, are you going to fight again? We would have went, no. Oh my gosh. That was so, it was rewarding and fulfilling, but it was so challenging. And it was definitely a different side of the SCA than we ever expected to see. And it left us in many ways emotionally exhausted, just from some of that, the labor, the job associated with being crowned. But then over time, you realize how trivial some of those exhausting things were and how rewarding some of the merits of being crowned were. And we found ourselves compelled to try again and had the good fortune of winning again. I can tell you there's a certain magic to the stories that people tell you. If somebody ever comes up to you and says, oh my gosh, I got my award of arms from you, or oh my goodness, you were at my first event and you gave me a mug and that was just one of the kindest things ever. I like to use the term, it puts gas in my tank. It's so fulfilling to hear people who you had these tiny gestures of thanks and appreciation and encouragement really help to lay their foundation for their membership. And that's just so rewarding. How about you, Your Grace?
I echo His Majesty's thoughts. I think the answer to both of your questions, why keep reigning and what keeps us coming back to the SCA in general, is the people. Both selfishly, it's allowed me to meet and spend time with and make connections to people that I might never have, both in and out of kingdom. And just the magic of being able to bring some light into somebody's life. Nothing compares to the look on somebody's face when you give them their first award. And how much more the SCA means to them at that point. And as far as just being around the SCA in general, people and friends are what keep me coming back.
I've asked this question on just about every single one of my shows to everybody at this point, and almost everyone has said the exact same thing. It's not the fighting. It's not the feast. It's not the pageantry. It's not the clothes. It's the people. And that's the great thing. And I'd love to hear that coming out of you guys as we progress down the line of these shows. It just makes me happier every time I hear it. It's the people, because that's what it really is. It's the people, all these folks that we get to hang out with, that uplift us. And take care of us and do all those fun things. So thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for that answer. That makes me really happy.
And I mean, even through the trials of the Corona era, connection with people that, from afar may have seemed, out of reach, or I don't want to bug them. They've got way too much going on. Reaching out through email and just, they're more than glad to spend all the time they can interacting and answering questions. Duchess Helga, I had contacted her through setting this up and her doing your graphics, and I asked her about shield painting, and she was like, all over. Oh, anytime you want to geek out about that, get in touch with me.
Yes.
So many people have been like that.
And it's great. Not just, chit chatting about it or getting somebody to do something or, getting a commission, but teaching. I have found so many people willing to teach me stuff, and, because we've had time in this pandemic that I picked up yet another couple of hobbies. The SCA is the hobby of hobbies. So, I reached out. At first I just started, checking them out, trying them out and doing them. And then folks are just like, hey, so-and-so, they do this. You should talk to them. You reach out to them, and they I have not asked anybody yet who hasn't had a wealth of knowledge and been willing to share it with me on whatever current thing I'm geeking out on at the time. So, in my eyes, this pandemic has been a blessing and a curse. It's a curse because we don't get to all hang out, but it's a blessing because it seems like we're all getting to know more people from different places.
We're getting to look at the SCA from a slightly different angle that might have otherwise been obscured.
Absolutely. Well said. That's exactly it. All right, gents. So those are our opening questions that we normally ask to everyone on here. So before we go any further, I'd like to remind our viewers, especially our new viewers who are viewing for the first time, this show has a very particular format. I've got plenty of questions here that I can ask up until about 30 minutes into the show. After that, I'm screwed. It's you to send me your questions for these fabulous gentles so that we can ask them your questions, because your questions are pretty much almost always better than mine. And we love to ask them and get some interesting answers out of our guests. So don't forget, you can drop them right in the chats, and we will cherry pick the very best ones for your entertainment. All right. With that being said, let's hop into the rest of these questions, shall we? So this is a question that's popped up a couple times, but you guys being from out of kingdom, my kingdom at least, I wanted to ask you this one. So when you guys are in council and you're considering a candidate for knighthood, do you ever consider their age as a factor? This person is, too young or too old. Does that even matter to you?
I can say that there have been times when a candidate was not ready, that I did have fear that their age would become a hindrance. But was age ever a factor in somebody being knighted? No. I can say that it was something that worried me about those candidates I really believed in. I was like, I hope so-and-so, you see some folks who are dealing with a shoulder issue. They're dealing with the chronic aches and pains that come with age. And you want to root for them. We want nothing more than to see these people achieve the accolade. And so there's the thought that I hope this individual, reaches the level of prowess necessary. But would age ever be something to hold somebody back or to push somebody forward? I don't believe so.
I agree. Age at times has come up in discussion, but it's never been a limiting factor. It's more like, hey, let's not write this guy off. He might have some interaction issues, but he's also in his early 20s. He's barely an adult. Give him a chance, help him out, work with him. Not, I don't picture us ever say, no, we're not going to knight them. Too young. They're too young, or they're too old, or no.
Okay, awesome. So, gentlemen, here's a quick question for you, and then I have a follow-up question for you after that. Do you consider yourself a tournament knight or a war knight? Now, I know every knight should be, good in either, but what is your preference? What do you like to do best?
Your Grace.
Tournament. War is fun, but to me, doesn't compare to the joy I get out of tournament fighting.
I was a war squire, and I'm a tournament knight.
Well, that's an interesting turn of phrase. I like that. I like that a lot.
In Meridier's and in much of the known world, there's a very famous song, "Born on the List Field." I was born on a list field. I was raised in the war. I like to say I was born on the battlefield, and I was raised on the list. So I invert that. It was the draw of the large battles that set the hook, that drew me in. It was the list field that refined me and helped me on the path to knighthood.
Awesome. And so my follow-up question for that is, what is your favorite "no shit, there I was" story? Did you see some SCA historic event? Were you part of one?
I received while I was a squire years ago. I received a little award from the Kingdom of Onstiora at Gulf Wars, and my favorite "no shit, there I was" story. I was a fairly new squire at the time, and not new to the SCA. I was in for about 8 years before I finally became a squire. 8 or 9 years. And then as a young squire, I went onto the battlefield and had a situation, without going into the gory details, had a situation where I had an exceptional moment with the spear. And that exceptional moment was viewed by the King of Onstiora. He witnessed it on the battlefield and invited me to court after that battle and gave me a small award right there on the field. It was one of those things that just, I mean, as a fairly new squire and as somebody who just loved battle, and it just blew my mind. I was so thrilled, and I wore that little token on my belt for years and years, and I walked around feeling so great. It was just, it was one of those things that I really enjoyed, and it's one of those memories I'll never let go.
Those are awesome. Your Grace?
Well, and although my claims of being a tournament knight, I think more of my "no shit, there I was" stories come from war and battle. Whether it's, from time as a squire with my squire brothers shoulder to shoulder plowing through a line, or on the field at Gulf Wars, being astounded at the quality of an opponent's armor, or just, it's stories from being in the heat of our battle, and camaraderie.
Awesome. All right, Jen. So since we're talking about those type of things, we're going to start this a little bit early because we are getting a lot of really good questions from the audience. And like I said, the questions from the audience are always better than mine. So we don't let any of these go to waste. I'm just going to jump right into them because I've got one here that's really good. And this is from Lord Rorik. He says, if you could talk to yourself as a young squire, knowing everything that you know now, what advice or warnings would you give yourself?
Your Majesty.
There's an incredible poem by Robert Frost called "The Road Less Traveled," and it talks about how there were two paths that converge in a wood, and one of them was clearly more trodden, and one was more overgrown. And taking that more overgrown and more difficult path made all the difference. I reflect on that a lot. That's one of my favorite poems, and I very much agree with Mr. Frost. I believe that I wouldn't change the path that I've taken for the world because it put me where I am, and I'm still, to this day, 21 years, in love, absolutely in love with the SCA, and I wouldn't change anything for the world. The good times or the bad.
Yeah.
Your Grace?
Well, other than, especially in my early years, don't drink quite so much. All I could think that I might try to tell myself, and I don't know that I would listen, is try to, when you're really worried about achievement and advancement, try to enjoy what's going on around you. But I think that this is one of the things that I think occurs to a lot of people and makes a better night is most nights somewhere along their path get to the point it's like, as squires or aspiring knights, they get to the point it's like they just completely don't understand, what am I doing wrong? Why am I not a knight? Everything I look at, I think I'm doing right. And they get mad about it. I think a better knight is made when, or for me anyway, when I got over that and I decided to hell with it. I'm just going to go back to having fun. I'm making myself miserable. If I let that fall aside, whatever happens, happens.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that destroyed some of the ego that I had built up. And I'm glad I didn't carry that with me into knighthood, because I still have plenty.
That's such an awesome point. There are so many squires who I've seen really pushing. They are seeking, they are driving themselves toward knighthood, and there are those cases when you notice in someone that they find a point where it's less about pushing and more about kind of enjoying that journey. And you see the change in them. You see them light up in tournaments. You see their difference in decorum on the list field, and it's really neat. And it often is that final little push that they needed to move toward the accolade. It's that, as my knight used to put it, Sir Joffrey, it's just falling in love with the path and then never falling out of love with it. You just you do it because you love it, and if you need no other reason, then that's it.
Some of the best information my knight ever gave me, the best advice he ever gave me was, don't try to get knighted. Just be knightly. Enjoy yourself, have fun, and be knightly. And if you're meant to be knighted, then you will be. But the entire time, like, it should come as a surprise to you. You know, if you're offered, it should be a surprise, and you should be happy in that surprise. But you should have been having, a good time that entire time anyway. So it just makes the good time that you were having better.
Mm-hmm.
And not being knighted would not take anything away from the good time that you're already having. So
here, I'll drink to that.
Yes.
Mark Durandell, he's an amazing man and a fantastic fight. If you want a good fight, yeah, you got to come out here. Come to Great Western and pick a fight, because
given the opportunity, you can count me there.
Yes, that is one thing this pandemic has done, is it has lit an even bigger fire for me to make it out west. I have friends from out there. I have friends who have traveled out there, and I went to a big event up in the east, Adult Swim, which was fighting for the fun of fighting, fighting people all over. And it's like, okay, I am going to travel now. And then a month later, everything shut down.
Same thing happened to me. His Grace and I carpooled to Adult Swim. We 12 or 13-hour drive. We hopped in the truck, grabbed my Squire. We drove up there, fought all day on Saturday, and then Sunday hopped in the truck and did 13 hours back. But I would not have traded that trip for anything. It was so fun. I had a blast. And then I rip roaring to travel like, oh man, I'm going to do Lily's War. I'm going to Estrella War. I'm ready to rock. And then COVID hit. And I was, oh man, that was just a needle in my little balloon right there. But I'm still enthusiastic to get out there. I've just I've changed employment. Now I've limited vacation time. So if one of these questions is one of your biggest challenges, it's trying to allot your vacation time throughout the year, because there's so many incredible events I want to go to, and picking and choosing is so difficult.
Oh yeah, absolutely, 100%. And I'll even put it to you this far. COVID and this pandemic has been a really shitty thing. However, it has kept us at home. It has kept us from traveling as much, which means you're not spending as much. And now, if you start right now, seriously, if you start
Tell
right
Amazon that I'm not spending as much as I.
well, yeah, there's the online. I've got some new things that are bright and shiny and ready to get hit by sticks. So I know the pain. But what I was saying is, so we have a little group called Weston Friends. Go to Double Wars in 2022. Double Wars is, of course, the big war in Sweden over in Drakenwald. So we've got over a year. We plan it for 2022. And it says West and Friends, so that means anyone in the known world is invited to join the page. I will drop it in the comments here as soon as I get a chance. But join the page, because we've got a lot of these folks from over in Drakenwald who travel over here. Some of them come every year to like Great Western War or Australia War. So they've got the traveling thing internationally down pat, and they're willing to help you, plan. And not only that, like a lot of them are offering their homes and their extra tents and stuff for people to use at this event. So, hop on the page, even if you don't get to go in 2022, it'll help you give it an idea of maybe the things that you need to start planning to get even more travel, international travel. Because I tell you, the folks in Drakenwald, I lived there for quite some time. They're fantastic, and they love us. We love them, and they'd love to see us out there. So the more, the merrier. You know what I mean? And I can also say the same thing about Great Western War. If you want to go to Great Western War, you send me a private message. I will get you hooked up with someone who will be like, "We got a tent for you. You got to bring your armor and shit, but we got a tent for you." We got a place for you to stay. Probably food and shit like that too. But anyway, that's my little soapbox, and I will, in honor of our sister show, Between Two Peers, I will drink for that. All right. Shall we get back to the questions, because we got some fantastic ones coming in here.
Sure.
Over these awesome chat rooms. Okay, so how about some fun ones?
These have been fun, but
okay, all right. Well, how about some very fun ones? So I have a one here, and I believe it's from. It says King Timothy King. Oh, it's King Timothy. Oh, look, he's right there. He's sitting right next to you. This is specifically for you, Your Grace. Who coined the term Boruse? I always know it's going to be a good answer when it starts with a big sigh.
I don't know where that term started, but at the point in my career where my prowess was advancing, but I was young and a large fella and still used my arms too much. Especially my rap shot made a good solid contact. So
I can put some background there. So a little background in Meridies, we tend to be it's hot in the South, so we wear a little less armor than you might find in colder regions. Tend to some folks wear down to the bare minimums, kidney belt with a tunic over the top of it. So a lot of times we're not very heavily armored. Boru is a fantastic fighter, very humble as well, but fantastic fighter. And he's left-handed. And shoot if he doesn't have the best darn left-handed wrap that will miss any armor you have right on the side, and it will give you that tiger stripe right on the ribs. And oh man, I remember one of the first times we were fighting. He on my little baby fat right on the side, my little love handle roll. Oh, he smacked that, and I turned to Sir Richard Rafin, one of our very highly esteemed knights here in Meridies, and I was like, "That hurts so bad." And he goes, "Was that Boru?" And I go, "Yeah." He goes, "You just got Borused," and it's prolific. Everyone in the kingdom knows what the Borus is, and I was just curious where that came from.
I am not sure. It's been around for a long, long time. And maybe somebody watching can chime in and if they know where the origin of that is. But
the
Excellency Fiona says, "Let's blame Connell or Ulrich."
Oh, it's well before Ulrich, so I'll blame Connell.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Well, I will tell you this. I hoped that I will be able to stand across from you on the field. Not hoping for one of those Borus. I'll skip that. You know, I'll have you sign my book and my body. All right, so we have another one here from Her Royal Majesty Queen. I'm going to say this wrong. Is it Ismay?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So that's right. And the question is, how do you address a fighter that doesn't call a shot that you feel is good? Or do you even address them?
Your Grace?
It's the toughest
I
subject.
would express that how he felt about the shot or how they felt about the shot. And that it felt solid on my end, but when it comes down to it, I can't call their blows for them. I'm not in their armor. But I would like them to be aware that from my end, I had a question about it.
Mm-hmm.
Your Majesty?
Yeah. My approach to that has evolved over the years. Once upon a time, I just brushed it off and kept fighting and tried to hit him a little harder, tried to hit him in a squishier bit. But then I realized that doesn't fix the problem if there is a problem there. If it is something that happens on a tournament field, then sometimes I'll pause, after the engagement has passed and it's safe to speak. I will discuss, hey, did you feel anything, in that last engagement? I did feel like I got a solid shot. I'll always leave the ultimate call to the person that you're fighting against, but I think it's really important that we do communicate. One of the worst things we can do is just the people's eyebrow. Oh, you're not going to take that and swing harder. Because it builds kind of anger, it builds resent, and I've found it in many cases it's not an intentional thing. Sometimes somebody's got too much padding in a helmet. Sometimes someone in just the adrenaline of a battle just got so hyped up that they missed the shot. And then when you communicate with them, in most of the cases that I've seen, and it's not every case, but in most of the cases, they're actually shocked. They're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. If you feel that was a solid shot." I'm like, whoa. I'm not trying to tell you that you need to take it. I'm just telling you that it is, if there is an issue there, if you do got thigh armor that's padded too heavily, if you do have, a helmet that's got a big void in it, those could be things that need to be addressed, because they're just going to, if we don't address it, they're going to continue and people are going to get angry about that type of thing. Mm-hmm. And it just, it sullies that person's reputation. Addressing it is important in some fashion, but I try to be as tactful as possible.
Yeah, I think that in the middle of a tournament, two things need to happen. It needs to be succinct and it needs to be non-accusatory. Yeah, just bring it to their attention, not with malice. And if it needs to be talked about for a longer amount of time, move on with the fight and talk about it off the field. Mm-hmm. You don't need the whole populace watching you discuss something, because Nobody wins in that.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Taking it off to the side is probably the best thing. Just like Your Majesty said, they may not even know. You know, it may just need to be some repadding or recalibration on their part, or they could just be a dick, and you telling them lets them realize that they're being a dick, and hopefully they'll change their ways. If not, you know, there's lots of people with heavy bats out there. So, all right,
That's when you do the people's eyebrow.
yeah, there is.
One of my good friends, Gareth. The two words you don't want to hear from Gareth are okay.
Is that one of those deals where you go like, wait?
Yep.
Let's
I
talk.
must have
Let's talk.
My part. Pardon me.
You see the brakes come up.
Exactly. All right. So, this is a heavy one. This is from our friend Demetrius. What is the biggest, the heaviest weight of the crown when you wear it? Like what's the hardest thing, the responsibility of that?
For us, it has been sanctions. Anything involving sanctions has been one of the hardest things. As crown, not only do you get that absolute thrilling pleasure of seeing people in their brightest moments getting recognized for awards and getting to offer thanks, but you get to see the other end of that spectrum. You oftentimes are involved in reports of the worst behavior, and while the seneschal absolutely helps manage those incidents, you often do have to put a signature on that. And some people that you may have called friend once upon a time, you may have to impose sanctions against, and that's heavy. That's been my experience.
Yeah, mine too. Dealing with the ugliness of not just the SCA society in general, and B, trying to make it as opaque to the populace as possible. You have to handle the ugly stuff, but you don't want that to affect your people.
Yeah. We did a whole special episode with some of the royalty, past and present, out here in the West, and they pretty much say the same. You know, the dealing with the ugly behind the scene things that you didn't realize that you were going to be dealing with when you stepped up. You know, it's kind of like, hey, congratulations on winning the presidency. Here's the book of shit. You know,
the power of one turd in the punch bowl. Like, oh my goodness, you could have an event with 300 incredible people, just incredible people. Amongst them are saints. Amongst them are the most generous people you've ever seen. And if there is one duty head, people are going to walk away saying, "Man, there were some real duty heads at that event." It's so easy for one person to stain the experience for so many. So you have to be cognizant of that at all times.
Absolutely. I'm going to write that one down. The power of one turd in the punch bowl. I'm going to remember that. All right. Let's
one turd in the pool.
Yeah, one turd in the pool.
Duty.
Let's lighten this up a little bit. So this is for Duke Boru, and this is from the Lady Victoria of Durham.
Oh, okay.
It's odd or even. I don't know what that question means, but
it's an old painful game where somebody grabs a fingerful of chest hair if you let them, and pulls and asks you odd or even. There's no winning.
I don't know who started it, but I know it was practiced commonly by His Grace's Knight. Otter, if he said otter even and you didn't know, you were in for some pain, and it was fun pain, but pain nonetheless.
Yeah, much more fun when it wasn't you.
I think I'm going to pass on that game.
Oh,
fairly hairy dude, as you can see. I'm just going to go ahead and pass right now. So if I'm ever in your backyard, just so you know, I'm not interested in playing that.
Start the game whenever we can.
Okay, so we have another question here from our very own Viscount Fergus McArt. His question is, what advice would you give to someone who might be moving into your area?
So this is a good question because there's a lot of layers that you can address in it. But one thing I do want to kind of touch on quickly is culture shock. Holy cow, is it real? I moved from Aidenvelt to Meridies in 2002, and in Aidenvelt there were a few things. You could spear the side of the helmet. Spears to the cheek plates were often it was a legal blow. And when I moved to Meridies, a spear to the cheek plate was not a legal blow. It was only to the face. So me having, perused the fighter's handbook, but not read it as thoroughly as I probably should have at that first Meridian event. And then I take my spear out there and I'm hitting people in the side of the head. Man, like I was definitely the turd in the punch bowl that day. So understanding, that there's going to be some differences when you move into a new kingdom, a new local group, any new area. And sometimes the culture shock can be subtle, and sometimes it can be drastic, down to different rules, customs, cultures, traditions. And I kind of experienced that. It's something I hate to say I see over and over again. And sometimes it's fantastic. You get a knight or a peer who moves into your group from outside that is they're just magic. They're that ingredient you're missing in your soup. And man, when they show up, they've got energy and they've got all this experience and classes they've taken and styles of clothing that were popular in their other group or their other kingdom that just becomes magical. It's just an awesome, awesome contribution to the group. Every now and again, you'll have somebody that comes like myself. They might make a mistake. They might misinterpret a rule. Something was practiced differently where they used to be. And that can kind of put some speed bumps in integrating them smoothly into their new group. So one thing I think it's important that, for one, we're really patient with anyone who moves into our group from another group and understand, the way we do it isn't universal across the board. Sometimes there are going to be different conventions. And then also sometimes we have to be open to other ideas, other customs and the way things are done, and let them become one of the pieces of the sum of all parts.
And I would say to contact the people and see if they know anybody where you're moving to. Contact those people, let them know you're coming. Or if there's somebody you've seen on one of these shows, your shows, Two Sisters, any of those shows, that they would, I like that guy, and I'm moving to that kingdom. Let me send them the note. Then you show up, as we spoke earlier, when you were inviting us out to Western World. The SCA is a welcoming bunch of people. And if they've made contact with a couple of folks, they will show up, and people there already have their best interest at heart. They'll be keeping an eye out for them. They'll be introducing them to people. They won't have to find their way on their own. It always helps to meet welcoming arms.
Absolutely. And if there's one thing that I've noticed about all my travels throughout the entire known world is that SCA people love new people. I have never not been welcomed anywhere that I've been, and that's saying something. I've been around just a little bit.
Say no more.
Say no more. Okay, so this one is from Gar. Sir Gar, from the West. What is the biggest inter-kingdom difference that you've seen that needs attention that needs to be addressed?
That's a tricky question. I have almost a curse that I try to see the positive in everywhere that I go, and sometimes that blinds me to the negative or anything that might should be fixed. Having fought in Aidenvelt, having gone to Lily's War, having gone to Adult Swim up in the East, I think that we'll find that most of our differences, most of the inter-kingdom differences are so subtle that the lesson behind it all is we have more in common than we do that's different. And it's that common thread that really binds us all together and that can help us get past any little anthropological differences between kingdoms. That's my best stab at that question. Boru?
I wholeheartedly agree with that.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer. I think really it's an ego issue if you think that you're doing things so right that somebody else must be doing things wrong. When somebody moves in from somewhere else, the phrase you can most quickly get tired of is, well, in Aidenvelt, it may be a grand idea, but because you presented it as somebody else does it better.
How many of us have that coworker at my old job? We used to do it this way. Yeah.
So I don't know what the biggest difference problem might be.
No, I agree with you 100%. And not only in, SCA world, but also in your everyday world, we have much more in common than we have that's different. No matter who you are, where you come from, I learn that lesson at least once a year. So I encourage everyone to go out and find someone who will teach them that lesson because it's a good lesson and well worth learning over and over again. Okay, so we got a really good one here. Ooh, I can't get it up on the screen, but this one is from Angus. I'm sorry, Tierson. Maybe Cal can get it up on the screen for you. It's how are you keeping your squires busy during the plague, during this COVID-19 time?
I can tell you I'm not. I'm very much like if you need the space to have your mental health during this, I'm not going to push you. I'm not going to ratchet down. If you need anything, I'm absolutely here for you. But I think we all we cope with this in our own way. And for me to kind of jump in and try to force my coping mechanisms on them, it's kind of a little bit of hubris there. So I definitely want them to be able to deal with these challenges in their own way and just make myself available to them if they need it.
Yeah, I think that mostly what I have done is keep checking on them. Mm-hmm. I don't have a regimen I can force on them because I have been as lazy as anybody during all this. I have the early morning enthusiasm at work. Do this, I'm going to do that. And then 6 hours later when I get home, there's a big chunk of Netflix between me and what I was going to do. So I'm not throwing stones at anybody. I'm just here to help.
Oh, I hear you. We all live in glass houses on this show. Awesome. All right. So we've got another good question here. It's from Graf Ulrich from Merides. I believe you know the gentleman.
Yes.
He says, if you could change one thing about the award system in the SCA, what would it be?
Honest answer, completely do away with all awards. Play the game because we love it, and that's it. Only award would be crown, and that would be crown list, fought in the same format that it is. All other ranks, titles would be completely personal. If you wanted to call yourself a duke, if you wanted to call yourself a lord, a lady, a marquis, do it for the flavor of your persona and for no other reason, for fun. But that, of course, would be such a structural difference to the SCA that would require going back in time and doing it all again.
Your Grace? How about
I am too big a fan of cookies and achievement to be on board with His Majesty's answer. But I think if I could change anything, it would be a more universal understanding or transparency of what each award was for. Because I think sometimes people build up in their mind, what an achievement or recognition is or should be, but it might be completely different from the Crown's understanding, the peerage that might fall under his understanding. And I think if everybody was more on the same page about each award, we all might be a little happier about them.
Agreed. Very well said.
Thank you.
All right. So now this one I think is going to need, and we're getting close to the end here, gents. So not to rush you or anything,
Flies, doesn't it?
This one's going to need. Yeah, it does. I love this show, but it sucks because it's an hour, and I try to keep it to an hour. But I have like 8,000 other questions that I would love to ask you. There, another 2,000 in the comments alone that we won't get to, but it's a good thing because it gets people, actively talking and everything. But this one is going to need a little explanation, I'm guessing. And again, it's from Graf Ulrich. And he says, where'd it go? There it is. Is RoboDuke ever going to be released on DVD? Just going to let you guys to explain that whole thing.
I don't know anything about that. That's got to be a Boru thing.
Early in my Squire age, at one of our household weekends, we, with just a home camcorder, filmed a movie called RoboDuke. And I happened to be the person in the movie playing RoboDuke. On RoboCop. Short answer, no, it's not going to be released on DVD.
Will the sequel, RoboDuke 2, Return of the RoboDuke? With modernizations and technology, we can do this thing up, Boru.
I'm just saying, I'm interested now. I want to see RoboDuke. I mean, like you don't have to put it out on DVD, but I mean, upload it to YouTube. I mean, nothing easier than that. And I've got the folks who can help you with that. Cal, come on the stage here real quick, if you wouldn't mind.
It's me. I'm Cal. What's going on, guys?
Everybody, welcome Cal. He is our fantastic behind the scenes producer and production dude extraordinaire. This is the man you want to talk to. I want to see RoboDuke. I'm sure if you guys want to see RoboDuke as well, get in the comments and give us a yay or nay. Do we all want to see RoboDuke? Because
we could use some plot ideas, some production tips, anything. And I'm just throwing this out there also. Hazard County is in Meridies. We could have the Dukes of Hazard.
I want to see that too. The real Dukes of Hazard.
It have to be screened for correctness and inside jokes. But I know at the same time we also made the making of RoboDuke. So
I want it all. I want it all. Cal, can we make this happen?
Logan, I think we can do that. I think maybe Graf Ulrich and I can work together on some scripting and use our tech powers to make this happen. We can do a RoboDuke 2, or perhaps one day in the long, long future when His Majesty is no longer with us, Duke Timothy could maybe step up and we could do the Dukes of Hazzard with the two of them. I think that would be perhaps a sequel to some luchador action we've seen in the past.
Is it
Oh,
just
yes.
coincidence, or the first two letters of Boru, Bo Duke?
Right? Oh,
I mean,
look, that's it. That's it right there.
we'll get Duke Lucan. Oh my gosh, Bo and Luke Duke.
I'm so just in the comments, all I'm seeing is nothing but happiness for this.
Oh, look at the time.
Don't worry, Your Grace. We still got 3 minutes. So, gentlemen, it has been fantastic having you on this show. Thank you so much for coming on. I really do appreciate you coming and bringing your wisdom and your humor to us. And right now is the chance for you to tell us about any little thing that you're doing, or any shows that you're watching that you'd like to tell other people to watch, or books that you think would help people on their path, or movies, whatever you have or use for inspiration, or something that you're watching, in these plague times that helps you keep your SCA happiness about you. Plug away, please.
Your Majesty.
Oh man, I need time to think. Cal?
Sure. I have plenty of things to plug. This Sunday, I will be joined over on Calbar's Corner by Ouyang Yingxiao Taishi. For Coffee with Cal, we're going to be discussing virtual elevations in the SCA. So COVID's done a lot to the SCA, and virtual elevations is one of those things. So it's definitely given us a whole new look on how we do courts and how we do elevations. So I'll be interested to see sort of some of the background of what she did. So tune in for that this Sunday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time over on Calbar's Corner.
Awesome.
Yes.
One thing I've got a lot out of is the SCA Coaches Corner. And it's going to cover all of those inspirational things, books to read. The Coaches Corner also on Monday, I think, has done some fighting reviews, and they bring up. I thought I was good at body mechanics. Helga puts me to shame, and they bring up stuff that I thought I knew what I was doing, but I definitely am not doing it with intention, because I didn't have that in mind when I did that. I just went out there and fought. It's can't praise it highly enough.
It's
right out of Meridies, we have our own regular video run by Graf Ulrich and Baron Sir Eric Martel, the Hound and Stag videos. So every Saturday they've been doing Crown List reviews. They go back through historical Crown List videos for the Kingdom of Meridies, and they'll bring different guests on and talk about each fight, and they'll just basically rewatch Crown Lists, and they're kind of working their way forward. I think they're about to crack into 2013. So in about a month, I'll show up on some of those videos. I think it's fighting in 2014 or 15. But they're fun to watch, and it's really neat to see. Watching some of these videos, I've actually been able to see over the years how fighting styles have evolved and changed. And you'll watch one fighter in their presence in a 2010 Crown List versus a 2012 Crown List, and they're a whole different fight. It's just really neat. And they've also got a Monday night show on the Hound and Stag. It's How Stuff Works, but stuff is not the word that they use. And they talk about topics, whether it be a specific peerage. We recently talked about Shiv meetings. They've talked about the Order of the Rose and things like that. So it's a great thing. So check them out on Facebook, Hound and Stag. And they do their videos regularly. So Ulrich will thank me for that plug, I'm sure.
And we'll try and get those posted in the comments here, so that anyone who's watching this afterwards will be able to pick them up. My plugs, as always, are sister show Between Two Peers, the lovely Mistress Tulia and Duchess Helga, who are not only stunningly beautiful women, but also ridiculously hilarious people, and ridiculously intelligent as well. If you haven't watched their show, you should be watching their show because they're fantastic. If you haven't been on their show, well, then you should be on their show. Send them a message and tell them why you should be, because yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a great thing to watch. Also, of course, all the shows that Calbard does, Calbard's Corner, Coffee with Cal, What You're Playing Wednesdays, the whatever you like, he's doing a show. Like, I find it difficult to do one show a week, and he's doing like 20. So, and helping out with
Find all that time.
Yeah, he does them. But he also,
in defense, I'm also not working currently. So the SCA and YouTube is literally my life currently. So
okay, but to counter that, this is a job. Like, those are not easy to do. There's lots that goes into them, and this gentleman has done a lot, not only to get this show, but all of your favorite shows to be continuing every week on the web. So watch all those shows. They're always great. Lots and lots of fun. And of course, Coach's Corner as well, because damn. I will throw there.
I agree.
Yeah. I'll throw one more in there, and it's Backyard Basics with Duke Mark Arndell. He does some amazing stuff. I'll throw the link in there. He does, if you want to fight longsword in the SCA or in reality, yeah, do that. Or if you want to fight sword and buckler or anything, and if you have something that you are interested in, send him a message, and if he knows about it, he'll do videos on it. But just remember, it's your fault that you asked, because he's going to do the hell out of those videos, and you will learn. So that's about it, gentlemen. Thanks for being on once again. Thank you, all of you out there, for watching. Don't forget to flat snap the hell out of that like button, because we need the we need the boost. We need to let people know that we're out there, and that always helps us out.
Peruse the like button.
oh,
Yeah, peruse the like button. Yes, for this particular show, you just gotta peruse the hell out of that like button. We would appreciate it. Come over to the page on Facebook and like and share, and tell all your friends to do the same. And then come and see us next week as we give you another fantastic show. I'm sure it will be. Thank you guys again.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Absolutely. Oh, no, we're still here. Okay. Well, thanks again. That's about it. And we see you all next week. Good night, everybody.